What is going on, everybody? Welcome in for a special Tuesday live show. When I say special, though, this is going to be the new norm. I'll talk more about that here in just a couple of seconds. But we're covering today. The markets continued to dip last night, but today we're getting a little bit of a bounce. And in fact, a lot of the charts are giving us some extremely bullish signals. So the question on everyone's mind, I think some people misconstrued what the question is it over? But ultimately, you have to answer that question as to what the question is for yourself. Am I saying the bull market is over? Is it bull market over, or is the dip over, the crash over, and are we ready to resume to new all-time highs? Make sure even right now, if you guys are excited about today's show, smash the like and hit subscribe. Let me be very clear, though, this is going to be a little bit different. I do not have Smay here today. I do not have T. Shrum. It is just going to be me. And the purpose of the Tuesday and Thursday live shows will be to get in, talk about the charts, talk about any breaking news that's happened, and then get out. We're going to be here for about 20 minutes, maybe 30, if some things continue or something big happens while I'm live. But instead of doing a pre-record, I thought, hey, why not go ahead and just do it live so that people can see what is happening. So right now, comment where you're from, and I'll tell you what, just give it a little spice here. Comment to me if you could have one final meal. You knew you were going to die tomorrow. You have one last meal. What are you ordering right now? I'm interested in you guys' favorite food. Let's get right into it. Going to the charts here. Bitcoin, like I said, did dip down. If you watched our live show yesterday, we discussed this in depth, the amount of support levels between 92K, which we actually lost temporarily yesterday, but all the way down here into the $89,000 level. There was just a plethora of things happening. We had the golden pocket that brought us all the way down here. Look at that. Look at how beautiful we touched right on that level. If you're looking at liquidations, we had some major liquidations at those levels. We've now filled all of those things. We also have hit almost every major short-term support level we needed to. We filled out our CME gap, hit the golden pocket. We have that death cross. Is the dip over? Well, we're going to discuss that here a little bit. I'm going to go into some lower time charts. But before I do that, let's just make sure we're aware of what's happening around the space at the moment. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index last night did come in at 11. Of course, we hit 10 for 2 days a couple of days ago, jumped up to 14. Now we're back at 11. In a nutshell, we have spent the last 5-6 days in extreme fear levels that oftentimes mark at least short-term bottoms. Once again, like we talked about yesterday, if you missed the show, death crosses, extreme fear, whether we're in a bull market or a bear market. I'll leave it up to you. I want you to think about that for yourself. But both suggest a short-term bounce should be around the corner. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. Polymarket is down right now. I was actually trying to refresh this right before we went live. But what you'll notice as we go over onto our X page is you will find that we will see, where is it? We crossed back today. I'm going to get down all the way to it. We crossed back up to 50% probability of rate cuts on Polymarket. They're predicting we will see rate cuts in December. Now, I want to be very clear here, and I want to continue to say what I talked about yesterday. The reason we saw a major dip in the percentage was because 2 Fed members came out a week and some change ago saying that they think that there's a chance we need to pause rate. With the government shutdown not giving us any new data, we're not sure what we need to go with, so we need to stay safe and pause. And this caused Polymarket bettors to dramatically increase their bids that we were going to have a pause in the month of December. Well, we still have about 3 weeks left until we get a final decision. But with 2 more Fed members now coming out saying that inflation, I think Waller the other day said inflation is not looking to be in trouble. And today, I can't remember his name. I think it's this one right here. This is Barkin coming out and saying that it's a cut is still very likely. Now, all of a sudden, they're starting to shift. And once again, we are predicting a rate cut to happen in December. What are some other big stories you need to be aware of today? Let's just kind of scroll through here. Again, today is about getting in, getting the details done, looking at the charts, and then getting out. Some big news here came just a little bit ago where Saudi Arabia announced that they will be investing $1 trillion into the United States, saying America is the hottest country on the planet. You worried about the economy? Well, Saudi Arabia thinks we're going to boost it here a little bit. And this kind of fuels what I talked about the other day where I said the future of the American economy is still looking quite bright. This is just one more nail in that board to say the economy is going to look pretty strong. Meta wins the FTT antitrust case challenging its Instagram and WhatsApp acquisitions. That's some big stuff here. Trump has announced that he knows who the next Fed chairman is going to be. Now, he's gone on record saying he's going to replace this guy before the end of 2025, that guy being Jerome Powell. I still don't think that's going to happen. I still think Jerome Powell is going to serve out his term, and then Donald Trump will appoint his replacement. Who do you think that that's going to be? Some say Waller, some say outside hire. Let me know in the chat, in the comments, what do you think? But this is going to be very important to watch. Again, whether we get a cut in December or not, Q1 of 2026 will have more rate cuts. Why? Because there will be a complete switch from the current group of feds. Some of them will stay, but a lot of them will be replaced. Donald Trump will be the one replacing them. And I am just going to go out on a limb here and tell you that he's going to replace it with people who will cut rates. So more rate cuts will come. I think they'll still come in December, but even if they don't, fully expecting them to come in the new year. Some other things to be aware of that are very important. This is actually some technically bad news, but I want to walk through it with you guys. The market structure bill is not going to pass in 2025, at least according to Senator Tim Scott. Now, go off my screen here for a second. I want to make sure we're clear here before anyone freaks out. We just got out of the longest government shutdown in American history, over 40-something days. We weren't quite to 50, but we got over 45. I know that one for certain. If you think that all of a sudden, after the longest shutdown, that the U.S. government, the Congress, and the Senate were going to come out and immediately get to work together and agree on everything and pass bills quickly, I don't know what to tell you. I also have some beachfront property in Wisconsin you might be interested in because you're pretty gullible. This doesn't scare me at all. Why? Because while I still believe that regulation is going to be very important for the future of the bull run, it's not surprising to me that it's going to take a little more time. It's not like Tim Scott saying this will never happen. He's saying more than likely, just not by the end of 2025. It's probably going to end up rolling into 2026. Why? Because they got to secure the votes. You don't want to take this bill to Congress and Senate and have it rejected and then have to go back to the drawing board and write it all over again. Instead, they're going to go through the proper analysis of making sure there's healthy debate. They work with each other to secure the votes that are needed. Here's the good news. This is going to be a bipartisan bill. It is one that already people from both sides of the aisle want to pass, right? This isn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. It's a bipartisan bill. But with all the gridlock that just happened with coming out of a government shutdown, there's going to be debate. There's going to be some back and forth. We're going to wait until 2026. Probably sometime early, January or February at this point, I think would be the expectation. But you did need to know about that as it is something that's going to affect crypto markets and probably keep us from a crazy parabolic run to end the year. Let's keep going on back to my screen here. Some other news you need to be aware of. Breaking, the U.S. banks get a regulatory green light. The OCC confirms that banks can hold crypto on their balance sheets to pay blockchain network fees or gas for approved activities. As the tweet said, it's marginal win. It's not a big win. It's going to be a big win down the road. When crypto adoption does inevitably pick back up, this is going to be massive. The problem is right now, crypto adoption is down. So while they have approval, if nobody's actually transacting in it, if the adoption is not up high, it's not going to have major impact on the price. So put a pin in that. It's bullish long term, not necessarily going to move any needles in the short term, but it is important information. On the altcoin front, something to know about. Again, will this have any impact right this second? Probably not, but long term, it's a big reason why I'm continuing to believe that ONDO has a bright future. ONDO secured the full EU approval to expand the tokenized stocks and ETFs to 30 plus markets across Europe. Guys, real-world asset plays are going to happen. They have not been happening. ONDO is one of the most depressing looking charts in the year 2025. I'm not going to argue with you, but if you're saying, let me give up because ONDO is a failed project, it's never going to make it, that's just not true. It's taking way longer than we wanted, but ONDO is still out here creating the relationships and partnerships, and when that crypto adoption gets turned back on, I'll talk more about that in a second, I still think ONDO could be one of the biggest winners of the whole event. Other big winners, Solana did officially launch their Solana ETF on the New York Stock Exchange with the ticker FSOL. So all of our stock traders out there, if you're using Robinhood or anything else, and you want to go start trading Solana on the ETF, on the stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange, it is there. It is live. We already talked about the rate cuts coming. All right, I think that's going to be it. There was one thing I want to show as we're going to transition back into the charts. Kind of got through the news semi-quickly there. There was a tweet put out here, and I don't want to say that Quentin who put this tweet out, is trying to create FUD. In fact, I think Quentin, at most I follow him, he's still pretty bullish. He's cautiously bullish. He's aware a bear market is still possible, but he put out this chart that I think is very, very interesting. And let me see if I can kind of zoom in on it so you can see it. First of all, it's short-term holders supply in profit versus loss ratio. And when you look at it, it's a very scary looking chart. We got to the lowest place we have ever been. However, when you examine this, I don't have straight lines here to help you, but you can try to go and look on my X account. Make sure you're following it. Some of you are watching on X. Some of you are watching on YouTube. Make sure you're following me on X. You'll notice that these time periods where we have extreme loss of short-term holder supplies, they mark some of the biggest bottom opportunities. For example, the other times this happened, this is April of 2025. This is September of 2024. This right here, I have to go back. This is like the fall, September of 2023. And you can keep going back. You have COVID, you have the bear market lows. What are these things saying in a nutshell? They're saying, yes, new investors are in loss. Retail is running for the hills. Retail does not want to buy this dip because they are down very much so. Didn't know what words I wanted to use there. That's exactly when the whales buy. That's exactly when you look for bottom opportunities. So this chart is actually another reason I'm looking at this and saying I want to be bullish. Let's go look at the price action charts themselves. I already talked about the golden pocket we hit yesterday. We already talked about the death cross that did happen here on the daily chart. In case you missed it, that did get approved here just a couple of days ago. And historically, this means we were just a couple of days away from the bottom. And now what's making me start to wonder, is that happening here today? We're hitting some major support here. We are going to start watching the daily chart, not giving me a buy signal just yet. We do have green reversals. We are seeing the oscillator slow down on its way to the downside. Want to see the money flow go back up, but you will see the daily chart is telling us, as it was yesterday, lower time frames are starting to turn bullish. Guess what? You don't have to go very far to see where that bullishness starts. We got to go down to the 12-hour chart, where right now we have the green reversals. We have the bullish momentum dot coming in here. The money flow, not quite bullish yet, but very, very close to turning bullish. And after that happens, it's only a matter of time before the daily chart turns as well. After that happens, we're going to be on watch. The weekly chart does give us some bottoming signals. It's not rounding just yet. We do have reversals. We do see the money flow starting to slow down, but you're going to see lower time frames turn bullish and trickle into larger time frames. That will be when I feel extremely confident that the bottom is in. Is the bottom in just now? Well, while I do love what I'm seeing on the 12-hour chart, I especially love what I'm seeing, let's say, on like the 8-hour chart, where we have a confirmed buy signal. The 4-hour chart is bullish. The 1-hour chart is bullish, but I do think the 1-hour chart's actually about to turn bearish on us because we've had such a great run up today. So we are going to be expecting a little pullback coming in here. The 4-hour chart, 8-hour chart, 12-hour chart still telling us we can make a big move up. However, I just have a sneaky feeling, and I don't shoot the messenger here. I have a sneaky feeling that we have bottomed out on things like the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. I don't know if we're going to get lower than 10. I'm sitting here wondering if what's going to happen is we're going to watch Bitcoin start to put in some good levels. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Bitcoin make its way up towards $97,000 to maybe even $100,000 once again. But similar to kind of what we saw happen if you were to back up, let's go to the daily chart here. If you were to back up and kind of look at what happened back in April, if you kind of look at what happened back in the summer of 2025, you see some major low events. Fear comes in, a rally comes back, and then there's one big drop to the downside before the bottom is finally confirmed, and then we make our way back up. Of course, this happened several times in the summer of 2024, and it did happen even back here. Some of you will remember a lot of fear, a lot of concern and chaos actually happened in March, right? If we go back and look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index and we look at when did Bitcoin actually hit our really low numbers, the low numbers came in February and March, end of February, early March. What does that correspond to? It corresponds with this bottom right here. Was that the bottom? No, it wasn't. You had your nice little relief bounce. We thought maybe the bottom's in, and then there was a very quick and very violent lower low before the bottom was finally confirmed, and we went to the upside. I'm not promising you that's going to happen. What I'm telling you is do not be surprised if we do see a little bit of a relief rally come in right here, followed by a very fast flash crash. We come back up here. We have a very quick wick down. We come right back up, and then we start our ascension to the upside. That is something I'm just here to tell you. Do I think it's over? Do I think the bull market's over? No, I do not. But do I think the dip is over? Do I think the crash is over? Do I think that what we saw this morning when we went down to 89,238, was that the end? I'm not 100% certain just yet. But what I'll continue to preach, as I have been preaching now for a while, the bottom might not be in, but I do believe the bottom is close. One of the reasons why, despite all of this, gold just continues to stand still. It's now officially into a bearish trend, or at least a sideways trend, where we did put in a confirmed lower high here just a couple of days ago. By the way, also, Bitcoin dominance continuing to plummet here. We are back below 59% right now on Bitcoin dominance, which tells me, let's be very clear here, this tells me that while Bitcoin has been falling during this whole process, while Bitcoin had a little bit more room to the downside, you'll notice altcoins held up quite well. Ethereum held up almost exactly where we told you it would get to the other day. Remember when we told you golden pocket here on Ethereum would be one to watch? It looks like we kissed right off of that level. Chainlink, remember here a week and some change, 2 weeks ago, we told you watch out. I think we actually said 1350. Did it go a little bit lower than 1350? Sure, it did a little bit, but Chainlink is holding up quite well here at the same point. I could go through a lot of different altcoins. One of them, for example, Aerodrome, with the biggest gain of the coins that I'm following, 9.4% boost here today. It is now put in several higher highs and higher lows since lows back on October 18th. What is this telling me? It's telling me altcoins have said, that's enough. The bottom is in for us. We can't go any lower. Why? Because ultimately this whole move, while there have been some OG whales selling off, this whole move was ultimately just one big liquidity squeeze. People were overly bullish, myself included. We were really excited about the future of the bull market. We knew that things next year were going to ramp up even further. But a combination of people thinking the 4-year cycle is in, along with way too much over-leveraged long positions on Bitcoin and altcoins, caused this collapse. But you'll notice now, as I'm looking here on the daily chart, we've taken them all out now. Altcoins have been done for quite some time. Actually, that's Ethereum has a little bit lower. Let's go to things like Chainlink. Altcoins have been done for quite some time at this point. We are seeing the beginnings of the market saying it's time to start buying the dip. Tom Lee the other day said that he believes the bottom will be this week. Well, I think Tom Lee's going to be off on his analysis on how high Bitcoin and Ethereum can get to the end of this year. I'm in agreement with him. I don't know if the bottom's in just yet, but I do think the bottom is close. And I'll begin to wrap up this live stream. Again, we're only going to be here for 20 minutes. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're getting in, we're getting out, we're getting the information. I want to just paint one more picture for you, make sure it's very clear for all of you why you should not be freaking out right now. For anyone saying, Tim, we're in a bear market, we fell lower than 20%. Let's be very honest right here. I'll give you we are in a bear market if you also agree that means that we were in a bear market earlier this year and we were in a bear market in the summer of 2024. If you don't think those are bear markets and you think those are just part of volatile bull markets that happen, then you have to stick with the same situation right now. In fact, it's very funny how far we've fallen. If you go back to my screen here, far we've fallen, despite the fact that when you actually look at it, this has been the least bearish fall of this bull market so far. We have only fallen on Bitcoin, and I'm going to look at altcoins here as well. Bitcoin has only fallen 29%, right? Hey, pretty close to 30. But guess how far we fell back in the spring of this year? Bitcoin in April was down 31.7%. During the summer of 2024, Bitcoin would fall 33% to the downside. So unless you said that was a bear market and that was a bear market, if you want to say those are bear markets, sure, we're in a bear market. We're also looking like the bear market's almost over. But if you think we're not in a bear market, why are you freaking out? Just because we've done a very similar thing once again. Also, if you're sitting here saying, well, Tim, the altcoins are really bad. Yeah, some altcoins, let's go look at like a coin like Chainlink, for example. Some altcoins are down pretty bad right now. Chainlink, from the highs here in August, are down. They actually fell to 54% down from those recent highs. Well, guess what? That's not new for Chainlink during this bull run. Back in January into April, it fell 66%. Back over here in the summer, it fell 64%. So even with altcoins like Chainlink, this is a smaller correction than we've seen in this bull run so far. The reality is, go over here and take a look at a total 3 chart. This is altcoins excluding Ethereum. No Bitcoin, no Ethereum. The altcoin market is actually held up surprisingly well. Altcoins, remember I said Bitcoin's down 29%? Altcoins fell 26.6%. Nowhere close to the corrections that we had here earlier this year where they collapsed 42% and when we collapsed last summer and they fell a whopping 40.8%. In a nutshell, what is the overall point I'm trying to make? We are sitting here in extreme fear, in extreme chaos, in bloodbath all around us with people freaking out and screaming, it's over, run for the hills. And this isn't even the worst correction we've had in the last 2 years. There are so many reasons right now that I maintain my bullish trajectory, why I still believe that liquidity is coming. Regulation might not come in 2025, but it's coming in 2026. We are going to have a major catalyst sending us into the bull market. I'll talk more about it in tomorrow's live show where we are live for the full hour with the entire team. Guys, if you're with me, if you're looking for a place to trade these markets, make sure to check out the Toobit exchange. It is the one that I'm using each and every single day. Like I told you, my portfolio is down at the moment, but my trading portfolio is up. Why? Because there's ways to make money in trading, whether the markets move up or down. And one of the ways I do that is by using Toobit. Guess what? Right now, when you sign up for that link, not only do you use our link getting VIP 1 level fees, so cheaper fees than you'll get by yourself, we're also going to be giving some giveaways. So when you sign up, deposit $100 or $500 and make sure to reach out to us. We will make sure you're entered for giveaways. You also get access to my trade setups. If you want to see what I'm doing for trades, you might not see the live trading sessions. You might not see our VIP trading group Discord, but you can see my entries, my exits, my take profits. Go sign up with Toobit down below. On your way out, guys, smash the like and hit subscribe. Give us some feedback. Do you like these 20-minute shorts or were these a waste of your time? I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.